Another Saturday night.
And here you all are. And I've just noticed how wonderful your beautiful eyes all are.
Sparkling they are.
Now, we've just come off the tail end of doing a video on pizzas. So have a look at that. It's the battle of the two heavyweight Goliaths. Needless to say, I am now a very, very hungry man. But as we're in a functioning Gunners Club, look what I found. What do we have? It's an authentic Soldier Hunger Buster 24-hour ration pack.
The combat ration pack.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's full of all sorts of goodies, steak bars, biscuits, everything. So I might have to tuck into that later because I didn't end up eating a great deal in the last video. Talk about going from feast to famine, or actually from famine to feast. Sometimes if you've had a little bit too much alcohol over a period of time.
Is there such a thing?
Well, you know, it's called the liver because it's important for you to live. It's sort of important. I've been actually doing some of the research for you, putting some of my money into it so you don't have to, into if we can actually find a decent non-alcoholic spirit. It's a bit of a tautology.
I'm sorry,
non-alcoholic.
What? What?
Yeah, my money and non-alcoholic. And non-alcoholic spirit. It's a whole lot of oxymorons put together there. I've got some very firm ideas. I think that a lot of the flavour that we have in the drinks we like is because the chemicals are very firmly bound with the alcohol. But remember, when we're making alcohol, it's actually the fermentation that creates the alcohol. But it's the distillation which actually has to do with the removal of the alcohol. And that's why when we're making a full spirit, we can actually concentrate it, or alternatively, we can actually remove it.
But I like my alcohol.
But you know, for example, I have to drive home tonight, so we've got to play it a bit softer.
It's like having a happy ending without lead in your pencil.
Well, you know what? Even Moses went and grew himself a vineyard, and Jesus did turn water into wine. So I'm not against it at all. But one liver and one driver's license, I've got to sometimes play a bit sensible as well.
Well, there is that.
Now, you would say I'm quite firm of opinion, wouldn't you?
Opinion, yes. How firm, I'm not sure. I'm not going to go down that road.
Honestly, I'm not paid enough to be here.
Are you getting paid?
I do have some firm opinions on what we're about to try. This is a jigger. You should have one of these because what it means is you actually can control the amount of alcohol that you're drinking. It's important if you're dining out and you have to drive back home, or if you're looking after your health, weight, whatever it is, worth having. You can buy them at a $2 shop. This one's interesting because it's got all different gradients of the amount of alcohol. Now, in Australia, generally a measure is about 30 mils. It's
yes.
1 ounce for you people in America. Whereas I understand in America, you go a bit heavier than us and then go for what we'd say 50 mils.
From my experience in America, when they do a measure, they don't use a jigger.
You're a good tipper though, aren't you, sir? And I understand you're called sir whenever you go to a bar in America.
And rightly so.
Yeah. I'm going to pour some of this Gordon's. In the meantime, do you want to get some tonic?
I can get some tonic.
Let's get some tonic, and I'll talk to you a little bit about this. So this is 0% alcohol. Now, when I was living in Europe, there was a lot of this stuff on the shelves. It took a long time for it to come to us in Australia, but you're seeing it more and more, particularly with the beers. This one's actually made in Italy, which is a little bit interesting. I had to look twice because Gordon's, for me, is the seminal London dry gin.
Yeah, correct.
But here we go. So we'll just do a wee measure. What we're all about is experiencing a taste here, and what that means as well is you don't want too much tonic. Please, sir.
Are we talking straight here or what?
No, add a little bit of tonic to it.
Okay.
And see if you get anything from the nose. Now, I have a very set opinion on this. One thing I love is the presentation of the non-alcoholic bottles. Now, this is great. You've got the relief of the glass. It's like there's some embossing there. So you actually get the feeling to the hand and to the eye that you're having a proper alcoholic drink. Similarly, We're about to move across to the Four Pillars, and this is pretty much, to all intents and purposes, identical to what you find in one of the full-leaded bottles. I like it. I like that they're doing that same presentation.
That's not bad, considering it's got no alcohol.
Now, I do have a very fixed opinion on this, as does my wife, and that is that it is just pretty much undrinkable. Now, you can...
I have no problem drinking it.
Yeah, I think your wife is not a big fan either. I think that's why it's sort of been languishing in our cellars. So to the nose, a little bit of soapiness. It's essentially like drinking a cordial, which is something that I think the non-alcoholic products have a lot of trouble removing themselves from. Do you remember 70s and 80s? What was the drink? The drink you'd have when you're not having a drink?
Clayton.
Yes.
Clayton.
Yes, I knew it would come to you.
Yeah.
And they tried to do essentially what people are doing a lot better now with non-alcoholic spirits. Although I don't believe they actually went through a distillation. It was actually more of a bitter cordial. Now, to me, I'm not getting much of a sense, apart from to the nose, that they actually have gone through a distillation process and then removed the alcohol from it.
Oh, do you remember the original non-alcoholic beer you could buy in milk bars?
Oh, yes, I do. And
Two on. It used to be. Do you remember that? Bundaberg, I think, made them.
I remember
memory.
coming home with one and my mother being extremely upset that her son was able to go into a shop and buy a beer. Now, the reality is you are drinking alcohol usually without even knowing it. For example, if you drink orange juice, it's about 0.05% alcohol. Now, some of these are marked as 0%, some I think just slightly higher, effectively the same as if you're drinking an orange juice. So don't get too hung up on 000. If you're driving a car and you've got a probationary license, I'd understand I would be very hung up. It was Birrell.
I don't remember that.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Okay.
Sue seems to like it. To the nose, it's convincing. I love the fact they've made the effort with the presentation. You might be clever enough to actually tart it up a bit. I've tried to rescue some of these things. I've had my knees on the chest. I've been using the compression technique to disco music. They say if you do heart resuscitation to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, that's the right rhythm. I've tried all that sort of stuff. One thing I've tried to do is actually add something like an Agostina bitters to a non-alcoholic cordial and see if I can actually get some authenticity to the taste, or that convince myself. Really, with this, I think I'd need to have a psychiatrist with a fob watch going backwards and forwards. I still don't think I get that.
Okay, all right. It's not unpleasant.
Tell you what, if I come back in a week, we'll see just how much. We should put a mark there on that bottle. Come back and see just how much of it is actually still there when we return. So, Four Pillars, love everything about Four Pillars. If you're interested, I do with Seuss, a very, very in-depth review on gins, all about gin culture worldwide, from its origins to modern day drinking. Have a look at it. You'll find it quite easily on our channel. You'll learn everything you need to know about gin and props even more. But I've screamed the praises of Four Pillars. I think for a mainstream Australian product, I think it's absolutely fantastic. So let's get your opinion on what sort of a job they do with this.
Whoa. Whoa.
Sparkling. Hit me too.
That's whole.
It hit me too.
Wow.
Convincing to the nose. Immediately convincing. You're not getting the feeling that you're drinking a cordial in drinking this. There's a lot more sourness come through.
Yes.
It's a lot more adult tastes. I think the Gordons actually did have a red hot go at trying to blend botanicals, but I think Four Pillars do a much better job for it. With Four Pillars, you do have to pay for it.
Has this got citrus flavours in it?
Yeah, essentially they've put juniper, orange, lemon myrtle and botanicals.
There you go. That's what I'm getting from it.
So you can get it straight off. And what that means to me is that I wouldn't really have to feel a need to go and get a wedge of lime. I wouldn't have to feel that I'd have to put some bitters into it or something like that. That would pretty much do it by itself.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's definitely got the flavour there. I don't mind a citrus flavour.
Now, for my money, if I'm going to buy Four Pillars Zero alcohol, have a look for the one which is the Shiraz Orange. I think it's even better product than this. It's more convincing. it's something which I can go to actually a few times a week and drink and not get bored of, and not really feel like I've missed out too much on not drinking alcohol. So that's a good product, but look for the orange coloured one as well, the Shiraz orange. They do one in the alcoholic as well, but we're talking about the non-alcoholic today.
I'm still not sold, but they're drinkable.
Yeah. Now, going back to the gin video that we did, we actually do pull out all the aces.
Yes.
And including that, the Brunswick aces.
Yes.
And we tried the cinnamon product that they did, the alcoholic one, and that actually was very, very convincing. So I thought what I'd do today, when I was at the store, I thought I'd try their non-alcoholic product. I tell you what, let's do the honours, but let's pull out all stops and add some ice to it as well, regardless of where your hands have been.
Yeah, I can tell you where they've been.
In the previous video on gin, and please do have a look at it, it's getting quite a few views. We talk about glassware as well for gin, and what we're doing at the moment is just basically an impromptu video for you. I thought it'd be good to talk to you as soon as we could regarding non-alcoholic spirits, just so we get a bit of balance as well, a bit of balance in our life as well. I love these bottles, I love the presentation. I don't think anyone does it better than Brunswick, but I must admit, I do find it a bit tricky to take the cork off, but that's just the way that it is. And the way this functions is it's got measures for the volume. I think it's probably easier for us just to use the jigger that we've got. I'm going to pour you a generous pour because, okay, I'll let the cat out of the bag. I think this is a great product.
Oh, that's different.
So gin we've discussed in a previous video. The name essentially comes from juniper, which is the main ingredient which you have in a gin. Botanicals means anything which basically grows naturally. What you want to do is distill it, infuse it, get the flavours. Particularly for the Australian gins, we want something which is a bit more typical for Australia. So we want some Australian botanicals. And we want richness as well. We want some complexity. We don't just want juniper and then some citrus notes to it.
Oh.
Isn't it complex?
There's a whole lot of stuff happening there. But that wasn't there before you added the...
Now I do get it on the nose as well without adding the tonic, but certainly adding the tonic, it mixes it up a bit, and we've switched it around. This is really what I'm looking for in something which is non-alcoholic. I'm after something which is convincing, so I don't concentrate on the lack. I concentrate on what I've been given on the feast, which is actually in the glass. And I think this is what it is. Now, I almost smell cassia. And remember, the other one had cassia or cinnamon, which is in the same family.
Wow, that's got some barky something in there.
Cassia, I would say. It's interesting. It's got a bitterness to it. It's got a sweetness to it. It's got a savouriness to it. And it also challenges the nose as well.
That is unusual. I don't mind it.
For me, what I love about this Brunswick Aces one is the fact that I'm focusing on what I've been given rather than what I'm lacking. And what I've got here is a complexity. I've got a richness, I've got an earthiness, I've got a bitterness, I've got a sweetness. It's pretty much hitting all the buttons together. But there's a lot to contemplate in that.
There is. There you go.
As always, it's your money in your glass, so buy whatever you enjoy. Hopefully some of the things that we recommend, though, can save you a bit of money and a bit of trying. In this regards, this is what I do. If you can get the 4 pillars on sale, it's something that I would look out for. I've been lucky to get the Brunswick Aces on sale, and I think the value for money is just outstanding for what I've got.
Those bargain bins are brilliant, are they?
I would give the Gordons a very wide berth unless you've got specific ideas as to how you want to add other things to it to get the flavour that you're looking for. And I'm talking about putting citruses in it. I'm talking about Angostura bitters, things like that. If Angostura is not what you're after, and you don't want something necessarily from Trinidad, and you want a different sort, because there's different sorts of bitters out there than just the traditional ones which we're used to from Trinidad. So go to a large shop and you'll find things like your Underbergs and all sorts of different spirits which aren't necessarily the Trinidadian. But
Trinidadian?
yes.
Is that real?
Yeah, it is. Well, usually they market everything as from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes,
they sort of share the offices together. But in this one, they've decided...
Trinidadian?
Oh, yeah.
Is that actually how you say it?
It is. And that's with non-alcoholic gin in my glass.
Trinidadi.
Who's a Trinidadian?
I love it. I can see the attraction. I think I'll stick with the original.
Yeah, well, I'm driving home, so I think this is what I'll be sitting on.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Completely. What do you reckon?
I reckon thanks for joining us, and next time we'll go fully leaded again. Enough playing with acoustic instruments.
Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're here to make them. Let us know what you think. Have a good one.